How hard is it for a man when he has no money? A man is in a hurry to buy a plane ticket home, but he doesn't have enough money. What's worse, the plane leaves in 5 minutes. This is his last chance to see his father. The man urgently borrows money from strangers. He pledges his identity as a soldier. He put up all his valuables as collateral, but he couldn't get the money. He was even thrown out by airport security. The man had to change to other means of transportation. He finally made it back to his hometown, but his father had already passed away. Facing his mother's scolding, the man did not say a word. Looking at the letter his father left him, the man sobbed uncontrollably. In order to prevent such regrets from repeating themselves, he began to work hard. He vowed to start a low-cost airline, so that poor people could afford to fly. So this man, Maara, went on a mission to raise money. But he went all over the city and no one would invest in it. Because in India at that time, airplanes were only for the rich. It was impossible for the poor to fly. Mullah suddenly thought of his childhood idol, an airline owner who started from nothing. Maara wanted his help. He told him about his idea for a low-cost airline. Simply put, you book your tickets online and cut out the middleman to cut down on the price of airfare. But the tycoon refused. Because in the eyes of the rich, the poor can't fly on the same plane as the rich. When Maara was disappointed, he was approached by a venture capitalist. He heard Maara's business plan on the plane. He was very interested in it. He wanted to discuss it with Maara. Maara took the investor to a small restaurant. He told him about his business plan in detail. The investor looked incredulous. Then he took Maara to the board of directors. Maara shared his business plan, but was met with skepticism from the other shareholders. They were worried that even if they were willing to invest, Maara wouldn't be able to afford an airplane. But Maara had a plan. Maara was very smart. He was going to lease the plane from the Americans at a low price. Because of 9/11, the American airline industry was devastated. They could now rent their planes for half the price. The shareholders, considering the opportunity, they agreed to Maara's plan. But it would take 6 months for the money to come in. So Maara started borrowing money. He found the richest man in his village and borrowed $47 million. His airline was finally ready for business. But just then, American Airlines suddenly canceled their partnership. It turned out to be a conspiracy by the tycoon. Even the investors were arranged by the tycoon. As a result, Maara went into debt. Maara ran to the tycoon in anger, but he was beaten on the ground. Maara stared at the sky every day. Suddenly it occurred to him, you don't have to have a big airplane to run an airline. A small plane can get passengers to their destinations safely. All the costs would be much lower. He contacted a freighter company. They were willing to lease their old cargo planes to Maara, but that would still cost more than $30 million. Maara's wife and father-in-law gave him their savings. He was grateful beyond words. When he went to the bank to deposit his money, he realized that he was getting money in his account. The villagers in his hometown knew that Maara was in trouble and raised money for Maara. Maara took their hopes and founded the Deccan Airline. Maara approached the Minister of Aviation. He told him about his business plan. The aviation minister approved of this model. Not only did he help Mullah solve the airport problem, he was willing to fly on their planes. Beautiful flight attendants, happy passengers. The first flight of Air Deccan seemed normal. Just as we were about to take off, the plane's engine suddenly smoked. The passengers panicked. Mullah rushed into the cockpit. He asked the captain to stop the flight, but the captain pretended not to hear him. Maara had to do it himself. In the end, it was all right. The plane was finally stopped, but the accident made the aviation minister angry. Air Deccan was banned from operating, and Maara was mobbed by journalists. Despite Maara's assurances that there are no safety issues, people were no longer afraid to fly on their planes. Maara had to find the cause of the accident. It turned out that the captain was having trouble refueling the plane. The captain was questioned by everyone. He said it was due to his own negligence. But Maara had already guessed that the rich man had paid him off. The safety of the plane was cleared. Air Deccan was allowed to continue operating. But people were still afraid to fly. To make people believe in Air Deccan, Mullah decided to put his 3 favorite people on the plane. His mother, wife and newborn daughter. Mullah was expecting passengers, but not a single one. After so many failed attempts, this time Maara was really discouraged. He didn't know how to keep going. But just then, the assistant ran over to tell him, due to a malfunction in the ticketing system, the passengers here couldn't pick up their tickets. They actually sold thousands of tickets. People hadn't lost faith in them. Maara finally smiled.